Dr. Rose Emma Mama Ensua Mensah is the Deputy Director General of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in Ghana, one of the country's most esteemed institutions. She is a member of the Award Steering Committee, and this year she is also volunteering her time to serve as an award mentor. Dr. Ensua Mensah is an accomplished aquatic biologist and a pioneering leader in Ghana. As you will note from her most impressive biography in your program, she has an outstanding academic and professional success. She's an active community member, having served, for instance, as Vice Chair of the Christian Health Association of Ghana. She is also an active member of the Quaker community. Dr. Ensua Mensah and her husband are the proud parents of 3 adult children, and she wears these many roles with unique grace, charm, and a certain je ne sais quoi. Mama, as she's affectionately known in Award, came to mind immediately when we considered who to invite as our keynote speaker today on a topic that engages and mystifies all of us: the elusive work-life balance. This is a theme that emerges often during conversations with award scientists. As one woman said, success is a double-edged sword for women. The more promotions they get, the more stressful life becomes. Few women leaders handle success with more finesse than our special speaker today. We've asked Mama to share her suggest, her wisdom with us today as the inspiring woman scientist, woman of faith, and woman that is the woman that she is. Please welcome Dr. Ensua Mensah.
I wish to thank the award team, especially the organizers Marco, Karen, Dorothy, and Marion, for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. I feel humbled that I was chosen to do so. Thank you, Wanjuru, for the lovely mail you sent me. I'd like to welcome you into your new position and to say that I am sure that we will all do our best to help you steer the affairs of award successfully. You bring with you rich experience from your former workplace, Akili Dada, and we hope you would also bring your experience in grooming young girls from under-resourced families to bring change in their communities to the whole of Africa. Your achievements are wonderful. You are a role model to young African women, and you have a standing invitation to Ghana. What a wonderful speech. And happiness. What a wonderful speech too. Thank you for that. So how does a talented, ambitious woman, scientist, smash through the glass ceiling at work, so to speak, without sustaining injuries on the home front? Perhaps it begins as a young girl growing up in Ghana. I was very lucky to have the parents in the family that I come from. My parents, Solomon and Emma Crawford, were educationists and provided the best atmosphere for studying and learning that anyone could wish for. My grandmother was an educated woman and well ahead of her time. So growing up, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of role models around me, in my aunts and uncles. In Ghana, we were fortunate that our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, believed that women should have equal opportunities as men. So right after independence, women were given the right to vote, as well as equal pay with men, and a very good deal for maternity leave. You had 3 months of maternity leave, and when you came back to work, you closed at 2 to breastfeed for 6 months. I attended Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast, the best secondary school in Ghana, where we were all ambitious little criminals. Our motto was aim high, live pure, right wrong, and follow the king being Jesus Christ. Discipline was a byword. We left school feeling we could conquer the world. My first rude awakening came when I had to sit my physics again after A-level. I was devastated. How could this be? I had never failed any exam in my life. I did not fail once, but twice. I got it right the third time. By now, I was suitably humbled, and with the help of my parents, I understood that it was all right to fail. Lesson number 1 for me was that you can get A's in school, but not necessarily A's in life. I enjoyed life at the University of Cape Coast. There were very few girls in the sciences at that time, and I enjoyed the company of my male colleagues. We studied together, and gender was not an issue. So I assumed that it would be the same always. This was not to be, as I later found out. After university, I married my first husband, Kwame. Unfortunately, he died after only 2 years of marriage, leaving me with an 8-month-old daughter, Nanekwa. Once again, family support was crucial. My parents and siblings rallied round to make me emotionally stable. I must say being a Quaker helped me tremendously during that difficult period. For me, Quakerism is a way of life. I went on to do my master's degree. It kept me busy. 3 years later, I got married to another wonderful man, Clement, to whom I am still married to, and we have 2 wonderful children, Mami Adjoa and Kobi. Lesson number 2, God writes straight on crooked lines. I enjoyed my work as a research scientist at the CSR Institute of Aquatic Biology, now the Water Research Institute. I loved going to the field, interacting with the fishermen, studying the coastal ecology and other freshwater bodies. I just loved my work, so it was no problem writing papers, meeting deadlines, and writing proposals. You have to enjoy what you do and be passionate about your work to get to the top. Every year, I set goals for myself. Sometimes I met them, sometimes I did not, but it kept me focused. Sometimes I took my 3 small children with me when I went to collect samples. My daughter, Nanekwa, then age 6, was asked what her mother did. She replied, "My mother is a fisherwoman. She works in lagoons, brings lots of fish home, measures them, and weighs them." And at one time, she did not do too well in her test, and her teacher asked, "Nanekwa, what happened?" "You see, Mommy went on trek, so we couldn't revise." My second rude awakening was when I finished my PhD. I did a sandwich PhD with the University of Ghana and with the University of Hull in the UK. I did my PhD part-time while I was working full-time. It was supposed to take 5 years, but I finished in 4. After my defense, I noticed that some of my male colleagues were acting very coldly towards me. I was puzzled until a male colleague and a friend replied, "You have broken the myth that married women cannot do a PhD." He said, "You did yours in 4 years with 3 small children, while some of these men are in their 5th year of their PhD. That is what you've done wrong." I'm happy to say that this is very normal these days now with some women. After that, I lost quite a bit of camaraderie. In fact, it took many of them a long time to even address me as doctor, a title they easily conferred on their male colleagues. I am sure a lot of women here can identify with this. However, I have to say that all through my working life, I have had a lot of encouragement from many men who patiently taught me and polished the rough edges of my science. At the same time, I have met a few who were intimidated by me, some who were openly antagonistic, and others who tried to dominate me and thwart all my efforts. I have learned that with such people, it's all about power. But if you do not let them get to you, and if you are true to yourself and ignore them, you will survive. It is not easy, but you will find the inner strength to do so if you ask God to help you. I have also met phenomenal women who have encouraged me, and I will not be part of the award family without the encouragement and support of Dr. Stella Williams. Mentoring is crucial for us as women. Please find time to read Anne-Marie Slaughter's paper in The Atlantic on why women still can't have it all. Becky Sheets-Runkle's Sun Tzu for Women, The Art of War for Winning in Business, as well as from Henna Inam, executive coach, speaker, and consultant. As a woman scientist, I must say that the kind of partner or husband you have is terribly important. Any man who does not respect you as a woman scientist and a professional is not worth marrying. The very nature of the work we do demands long hours in the field and lab, working late, writing reports, and meeting deadlines. Your partner has to be very supportive. You have to strategize to have that work-life balance. Award will build your capacity to be a good scientist. But we are in Africa, and most women are judged by their marriage and the children they have. I've had a lot of cases where my friends have been given the ultimatum, that masters or your marriage. The African terrain is harsh on women who are not married, and also on those who are married and have no children, and that is very sad. Woe betides you if you cannot cook. So you have to add cooking to your assets. As a young working mother, I stored food when they were in season in my deep freezer. A refrigerator is a must. I cooked over the weekend for the week and froze it. I shopped every 2 weeks, and once a month I checked for torn clothing, underwear, bedding, changed those I had to, and mended those I could. I was not a very good, I couldn't sew very well. I was terrified that because I was a professional woman, I'll be faulted if the children did not turn out well. A lot of my work was done between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. when everyone was asleep. My husband and I agreed that there would be no TV for the children after 7 p.m. from Monday to Thursday, and homework was to be done by 8 p.m. Luckily for us, by the time they could rebel, they were in boarding school. It is difficult to find that work-life balance, but it is not impossible. There are choices you need to make along the line. In 2001, I went on a 2-year sabbatical to the University of Winnipeg because I was burnt out. My husband was doing the best he could, but I felt I needed to do more things with the children and also reset my priorities. I negotiated to have all my lectures and practicals from Monday to Friday. I was free from Thursday to Sunday. Sometimes you need to get away and find yourself again. The way to the top may not be linear, but rather a gradual step by step. I'd like to quote for Anne-Marie Slaughter's article. Whether women will really have the confidence to tester their careers, however, will again depend in part on perception. Slowing down the rate of promotions, taking time periodically, pursuing an alternative path during crucial parenting, or parent care years, all have to become more visible and noticeably accepted as a pause rather than an opt-out. As Anne-Marie says, the American definition of a successful professional is someone who can climb the ladder to the top the farthest and in the shortest time. Now, the danger with this is that you stand a good chance of burning out. The other danger is that you could sustain some very bad injuries on the home front, the masters or your marriage. In your bid to get to the top, your work-life balance may be skewed towards work, and in the process, you may lose a good man or neglect your children. Do men find it challenging to balance life and work too? Yes and no. I always joked with my male colleagues that they go home to a cooked meal waiting for them, whilst I have to go and cook that meal. That is changing, but achieving the work-life balance is more difficult for men. They have been programmed to be breadwinners and to be away from home working. Men also face the same work-life balance issues as women, who try to have it all. It feels like a disadvantage not to spend those crazy late hours in the office, while colleagues without children have no problem working late. Promotions, after all, go to people who work hard and accomplish a lot. A recent Bloomberg Business Week cover story on work-life balance for men focused on a group of alpha dads in Deloitte, Canada, who boldly rearranged their schedules to make time for their kids. They don't believe in balance, writes the author. They believe in getting what they want, even if it's time to yell at their 5-year-olds on the sidelines of a soccer game on a Wednesday afternoon. The article author implies that the 46% of working men in the US who want to spend more time with their kids should just man up and do it. I think this goes for men in Africa too. They don't spend enough time with their kids. But perhaps times are changing. My friend Pat jokingly remarked that she used to feel guilty about picking her children from school during a meeting because of the looks she received from her male colleagues. But now the young male scientists openly talk about picking their children from school or taking them to the hospital without guilt. They just do it. So things are changing. Is it because a lot of these men these days had working mothers too? Arthur Henna Inan takes a different approach to work-life balance. She says we need to shift our paradigms about work. I totally agree with what she postulates. She posits that we have a new normal and 5 trends that create this new normal. 1, technology enables us to be always connected. There are fewer people needing to do more work. Globalization and speed of information flow demands a 24/7 responsiveness. The speed of change is more than we can keep up with, and the need to be on as new competitors emerges from unlikely places. She provides 7 paradigm shifts to work in the new normal, which I'd like to share with you. 1. Move from work-life balance to work-life energy. We should stop trying to balance and start thinking about ways we can be fully energized and creative for all our life. Move from rigid to personalized. Work-life energy is personal. We need to identify what personally energizes us in work and life and move towards it. Move from balance on the outside to balance on the inside. A significant part of work-life balance is managing the mindsets we have, what stresses us out, and how we manage that stress. We are not present where we are. She provides a quote from Albert Einstein, which I find very apt. Any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not given the kiss the attention it deserves. Move from work hours to rest hours. She says research has shown that we allow ourselves to relax and have fun. When we do that, our creativity flows through. We need to pause sometimes and re-energize. We become more productive. Move from balance being an end state to balance being practice. Work-life balance is not a destination. It's how you navigate the journey. You have to find the most effective set of tools and principles which works for you. There are no stereotypes. In all this, you have to be twice as good as your male colleagues to get to the top. That is a fact, and you'll discover. So discipline, self-confidence, diligence, and working with passion are key. When you are passionate about your work, you will naturally work hard at it. I'd really like to recommend Becky Sheets-Rankel's Asian Strategies for Today's Workplace, Sun Tzu for Women, The Art of War for Winning in Business. In it, she points out that most professional women seek to avoid conflict, are unsure of which battles to fight and when to fight them, desire to stay in their comfort zone and keep the peace, experience confusion about being true to themselves, adopting traits, characteristics of male leadership models. Don't ask for what they want. Allow timidity to prevent them from achieving big. Fear the way boldness will be perceived by others. When a man is aggressive, that's okay. When a woman is assertive, she's aggressive. Are prone to distraction from outside the office. However, the author knows that women also share attitudes that lead to success. These include intuition, sensitivity, collaboration, passion, independence, team building. The challenge, however, is fully utilizing these strengths that we have. Women can still maintain their softer sides and succeed. I do not want to be a man. I learned that again 2 years ago when I had to negotiate the salaries for CSIR workers. I immediately laid down a few rules to the CSIR negotiating team. We are not going to play this in the media. We are going to seek consensus as much as possible. We are going to work together and be firm in our demands, but to give reasonable concessions. There were moments of hard negotiating with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, whose CEO was a very tough man. In the end, we got most of what we wanted. I like to think this was in part due to the negotiating skills I learned from the award leadership course I took. Thank you, award. However, having it all may mean different things to different people. It has been a long, enjoyable journey to get to where I am. I have learned that difficult times are not permanent, they shall come to pass. I have learned that excellence can only be achieved with hard work, passion, and determination if one wants to be a successful female scientist. I have learned that it is important to keep up with current trends in your profession. Subject yourself to peer review and to read widely. I have learned that not everyone will like you, both men and women, so you have to deal with it. But stay humble with all the successes you chalk up. There are times when I have wanted to walk away from it all and to sit under a coconut tree in my hometown, just losing myself in a book and putting everything and everybody behind me. On the other hand, I have enjoyed imparting knowledge and building the capacity of the people I work with, the scientists in the CSI, especially the women, and building teams. It has given me great pleasure to run successful projects and to motivate my workers. I enjoy projects in the CSI where scientists use technology to turn communities around. I have learned to be circumspect about what I say and to whom I say it to. I have learned to think outside the box and to try to look at the total picture. I have learned to try and listen to others and treat people with respect, as everyone has something to say. I am learning to be true to myself and not to buckle down under pressure from others. I am learning to be at peace with myself and not to feel so driven to succeed. I am polishing my French and trying to catch up with some of the new trends in information technology. However, I do not feel guilty anymore when I rest and just keep my mind blank. I just did not know how to do that. I try to exercise more and to watch my diet. That is an uphill task. I am learning to have fun and to be fun to be with, as well as occasionally laugh at myself. Life should not be taken so seriously. My personal relationship with God has also seen me through a lot of trials. My spirituality is becoming more and more important to me. Is there a glass ceiling? Yes, there is, but one which can be broken. I'd like to end with something from Sanchu for Women. Insecurity will keep you from overcoming challenges. If you expect yourself to fall short, you'll be destined for failure. Character isn't about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. If you're a winner, you have a spirit of victory in each battle. You know that with each challenge, you grow smarter, stronger, more resilient, and more capable of being what you are destined to be. Your work-life balance can be attained with your own set of tools and what works for you. But in the process, please do not step on too many toes getting to the top, and be proud to be a woman. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I wish Wanjiru, the award staff, and all the award mentors and mentees well. Keep up the good work. Thank you.